Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. For decades, we have thrilled to the exploits of the young and the restless, Victor Newman, the unapologetic Black Knight of Genoa City. We have swooned over his grand romantic gestures, gasped at his treachery and cursed about the lows to which he is willing to stoop. But as we recently noted, his vendetta against archenemy Jack Abbott has begun to feel less, been there, done that, then, been there, done that over and over and over again. Read the room, young and restless. The last thing viewers want to see right now is a filthy rich narcissist running roughshod over everyone and everything in his path with no concern whatsoever about the destruction he leaves in his wake. It's time for the show to humble Victor, and we mean truly humble him. As it is, he considers himself untouchable, and we don't blame him. Countless nemesis have come and gone, and none have been able to bring him down. Heck, they've barely managed to slow him down. We'd feel invincible, too. Victor's day of reckoning. What it would take to force the great and powerful Victor Newman to take stock, we're not sure. Perhaps the loss of his empire. Maybe the passing of one of his children. Or it could be something as common in Genoa City as a brush with death. Whatever it is, the result would have to be the same. Victor asking, "What have I done?" He had to fight for everything that he has, so he could realize that along the way, he forgot how to do anything but fight, and at some point, that started to do more harm than good. The storyline could be a tour de force for the estimable Eric Braeden as he plays Victor's revelation that he's won battle after battle, only to lose the war. How many times has he hurt his beloved Nikki? How often has he broken his kids' hearts or made collateral damage of someone who made the unforgivable mistake of wanting something for themselves? Is this a life to be proud of, he'd have to ask himself, or ashamed of? Knock him down, build him back up. Of course, the goal of cutting Victor down to size isn't to keep him small, it's to allow him to adjust his POV and redefine what it means to be large. I've been so focused on growing Newman Enterprises by taking, he'd see, that I've entirely neglected the potential benefits of giving. What is the point of it all if it's all for me? My company, my money, my achievements. Am I so petty and insecure that I need the world I created to revolve around me even now? What do I have left to prove? The answer. What Victor has left to prove is that he is better than that. That he has evolved away from the villain who once locked Michael Scott in his basement and fed him rats. That he barely even recognizes the fiend who sicked Patty Williams and then Kelly Andrews on Jack. That never in a million years would the man that he has become replace Phyllis Summers' husband in her bed with an imposter. Room for improvement, but how? How can Victor possibly make up for all of his misdeeds? Simple. He can use his business acumen and vast wealth to secretly bankroll a nonprofit, then staff it with one of the ambitious entrepreneurs on whom he's previously stepped, Audra Charles. Have him apologize for asking her to seduce Kyle Abbott, give her the top spot and request that she not disclose to anyone that he is funding the charity. "And what if I don't keep your secret?" she might ask. "What if you don't?" He could reply. "That's not a demand, it's a request. There is no threat attached. The job is yours because you will be wonderful at it, and because I have wronged you. I only ask that you keep my involvement to yourself because, well, let's be candid with one another. If anyone knew that I was doing this, it would cast a dark shadow over the whole endeavor. You've suffered enough at my hand," he might add. "As I try to make amends for my past, I shouldn't like for you to have to deal with accusations that you are being used as a pawn in what others will see as my feeble attempt to atone. But the decision to honor my request for anonymity is entirely your own." Time to shine. Imagine the gravitas that Braeden would bring to this storyline as Victor fully comprehends the scope of his power and the potential to use it to enact change for the better. Not just change for his bank account, change for the community, for those who are now where he started out, struggling, scrapping, doing whatever it takes to get by, never mind ahead. The Emmy winner would have to make room in his trophy case for a second statuette. Young and restless, most meaningful Victor Newman storyline is just begging to be told. For over 4 decades, The Young and the Restless has delivered unforgettable drama, love triangles, power struggles, and legendary feuds. And at the center of it all stands a titan, Victor Newman. Played with imposing charisma by Eric Braeden since 1980, Victor has become not only the heart of Genoa City but a towering figure in daytime television itself. He's been a ruthless tycoon, a romantic antihero, a devoted father, and sometimes a cold manipulator. But while the soap has delved into almost every corner of Victor's life, there's one storyline, one profound, deeply personal arc, that remains glaringly untold. One that could redefine his legacy and finally give fans the emotional depth they've been craving. And it's not just meaningful, it's overdue. Victor before the Newman name. Victor's origin story is a classic rags to riches tale, yet it's only been hinted at in fragments and flashbacks. Born Christian Miller, he was abandoned by his mother, Cora, and left to grow up in an orphanage. That early abandonment has been the beating heart behind many of Victor's choices, his relentless ambition, his need for control, and his deeply complicated relationships. But here's the catch, we've never truly seen Christian Miller. We've never walked the full journey with him from scared, neglected boy to the empire-building businessman we know today. And in the golden years of Victor's arc, this story, his story, deserves to be told. What if we were given a raw, unfiltered Victor? A man forced to confront his younger self not through a courtroom battle or a hostile takeover, but through introspection, memory, and reconciliation. The Ghosts of Genoa City. Imagine a storyline where Victor is diagnosed with a serious, but not immediately fatal, medical condition. Something that forces him to slow down, to sit still in ways he never has. Perhaps it's a rare condition affecting his memory. As he begins to experience brief lapses or disturbing dreams from his childhood, the past begins to bleed into his present. We'd see a Victor who's vulnerable, not because he's lost a fortune or a corporate war, but because he's losing time, clarity, pieces of himself. For a man who's built his identity on power and control, this is the ultimate antagonist, his own mind. This opens the door for a series of flashbacks, long-form, beautifully shot period scenes, of young Christian Miller in the orphanage. A lonely boy abandoned by love. Abused, ignored, perhaps bullied. But also resilient, clever, defiant. And through these glimpses, the audience would begin to understand why Victor became Victor. Not just a survivalist, but a man obsessed with never being weak again. Eric Braeden's tour de force. Braeden has always infused Victor with gravitas, but this storyline could be his magnum opus. A chance to show not just the lion's roar, but the pain behind it. Imagine Braeden in a scene where he quietly visits the long-shuttered orphanage. He walks the crumbling halls, touches the bed where he once slept, relives the whispers and fears. No boardroom, no bravado, just a man facing the shadows he buried long ago. This is Emmy material, not for the shock twists, but for the emotional truth behind them. The woman who broke him before Nikki. Before Ashley or Hope, there was one woman who shattered Christian Miller, his mother, Cora. Bringing her back into the story, now in her twilight years, would unleash waves of emotional reckoning. Why did she leave him? What happened to her after? Was it guilt? Was it survival? Victor confronting Cora as an older woman, seeking not vengeance but understanding, would be a stunning reversal. Instead of punishing her, he has to face the part of himself that still wants love from the woman who abandoned him. Their scenes could be wrenching and redemptive. Cora, perhaps suffering from dementia, might not remember all the details, making the confrontation all the more tragic. In her moments of clarity, she may apologize or deny. Either way, Victor is forced to answer a question that has haunted him: was he unlovable or just unlucky? A mirror through the next generation. Victor's children, especially Victoria and Adam, have inherited his fire and flaws. This story could pull them closer to him in ways past power struggles never have. As Victor begins to lose pieces of his memory or struggles to articulate what he's feeling, the Newman kids step up. But not just as caretakers, as reflections. Victoria, always the loyal heir, sees how much she's followed in her father's footsteps, for better or worse. Adam, forever the outsider, begins to understand why Victor always held him at arm's length. Maybe it wasn't about Adam, but about Victor not knowing how to love a son he didn't raise, when he himself was never loved properly. Each of them starts to find empathy. And perhaps, for the first time, Victor's family becomes less about empire and more about healing. Faith, forgiveness, and a full circle. For a character as commanding as Victor Newman, mortality isn't just a plot device, it's a lens. One that allows the show to explore big, universal themes: forgiveness, legacy, and the cost of control. If this story were told right, it could be the emotional spine of an entire season. Picture Victor, toward the end of the arc, standing at his old orphanage, now turned into a shelter for children. He's holding a letter addressed to Christian Miller, written by himself. He places it inside a book in the library, a silent gift to any child who feels unloved. A whisper that says, "You matter." You can rise. In that moment, the man who built Newman Enterprises, the mogul, the father, the lover, the enemy, becomes something more, a whole person. And The Young and the Restless would have delivered not just another soapy twist, but a legacy-defining masterpiece. Why now is the time? Soap operas are built on reinvention. And while many have relied on recasts and plot-driven drama, Y&R has something even more powerful: continuity. Eric Braeden's Victor is a living bridge between decades. Honoring his story with an arc that dives deep, rather than reaching wide, would set a new standard for daytime storytelling. Moreover, in an age where audiences crave authenticity and emotional payoff, this story offers both. It allows Y&R to hold up a mirror to the human condition, not just the glamorous parts, but the raw, aching truths beneath them. In conclusion, tell the story. Victor Newman is an icon. But icons are often kept at arm's length, admired, feared, revered. What The Young and the Restless has yet to do is humanize him fully. To give us not just the man behind the myth, but the boy beneath the man. To show that even the most powerful among us are shaped by the things they couldn't control. There's no need for doppelgangers or shock deaths or secret love children. The most meaningful Victor Newman storyline is one rooted in reality, emotion, and reflection. It's time. Let Christian Miller finally speak. Would you like this in a more article-styled format, like for a blog post or publication, or should I expand any specific section? Thanks for watching this video and please subscribe our Update World 24 YouTube channel for more update news.